Hey everyone, my name is Hollan Oliver from Coastline Physical Therapy, and I want to talk about aerobic system development today. As a physical therapist, a sports physical therapist, I often get the question, how do I get my team in better shape? Or how do I get in better shape? And the reality is, it's not just a random assignment of activities. Coaches will often come to me and they'll say, my team looks totally gassed in the third quarter, or halfway through the soccer game, they have no energy, or they can run for a long time but they're slow, and what it comes down to is organizing a practice schedule that incorporates very strategic energy system development sessions. And I want to try to make this as simple as possible. We'll take as much of the science out as we can. Before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about intensity and how we're going to rate that. So we're going to use an RPE scale. It's rate of perceived exertion. It's a 0 to 10 scale. On the lower end, a 0 essentially is no intensity. You're sleeping, right? A 10 is max out effort. The reality is you can't go at a 10 out of 10 RPE for a really long time. So we're going to use those intensities and talk about this graph here. So on this end, we have power. On the bottom, we have time. We're going to talk about the red zone first. So the red zone is, think about a runner for a second. Somebody like an Olympian who does a very short distance, like 100-yard dash, very short duration, but really high intensity. To train in this zone, you want to have that high intensity, so we're going to use 9 or 10 is what a prescription that we're going to use. And our workload is going to be, it's not a very long workout. 5 to 12 minutes is what I would suggest for your workouts in this zone. If anything longer than that, you're probably going to start to bleed into the green zone more. And your intensity is probably going to drop. So if you're really truly exercising at a 9 or 10 intensity, it has to be short enough of a workout that you can maintain that. So really try to stick to these parameters. The work to rest ratio is 1 to 4, 1 to 6. So here's what that might look like. You have your entire team line up, you do an 8-second max out sprint, and then you have them rest for 52 seconds, so a minute's worth of prescribed activity, and you do it 8 times. So it's only 8 minutes in duration, it's really high intensity, a lot of rest, and it will keep you in this red zone. The next zone, the intermediate zone here, is our green zone. Think about like an 800-meter run. Lower intensity, so now we're talking about a 7 to 8 on the intensity, our RPE scale. Our workout is going to be longer, 10 to 20 minutes for this type of workout. And our work to rest ratios, they can vary quite a bit actually for this zone. As you can see, there's quite a bit of a difference between this point here and this point down here. So an example of a workout might be 3 minutes of an activity and 2 minutes resting. So pretty high intensity still, adequate rest, but the intensity is going to allow you to do about 3 minutes of work versus 8 seconds of work. If we continue on this graph down to our blue zone, these are much longer duration activities. So we're looking at greater than 20 minutes of work. And the intensity is going to be much lower. So 3 to 5 is where you want to prescribe this. Think about like an activity that your team can do for 30 minutes to an hour. That's probably the right intensity. And your work to rest ratios are going to be much closer. It could be 2 minutes of running, 1 minute walking. 2 minutes running, 1 minute walking. It might even be 1 to 1. So 1 minute of running, 1 minute of jogging. So now that we have all these different intensities, what we need to do is essentially organize a calendar so that as a coach or an athlete, you are training red zone one day, training green zone another day, training the blue zone. And so what I want to do is come back with how to organize your training schedule to incorporate workouts in each of these zones. All right, so now we are gonna break this down into a week-long training schedule that you can use for yourself or for your team. And as I said, strength coaches, sports physical therapists, trainers should be using a very systematic approach to strength and conditioning for your team. And as a coach, your team is going to perform better if you follow some type of protocol for your team. Now, it depends on the time of year. You really want to break down your training into different types of cycles. And it depends on, is this your competitive season? Is this your recovery season? Is it time off? Is it preseason? Like, depending on what time of year it is, it's going to dictate your training sessions. But here's a week-long calendar that you can use. Let's say that you're in season for this time, for the example. So our first day, we're going to do a green zone. Remember, the green zone is an intensity of about 7 to 8, and it's about 10 to 20 minutes in length. And we're going up in the intensity. On our second day, we're going to hit that red zone pretty hard. The intensity here is a 9 to 10. It's shorter in length, so remember 5 to 12 minutes. The third day, we're going to drop down into this blue zone here. So remember, the blue zone is very sustainable. It's 3 to 5 on the RPE scale, longer than 20 minutes in length. Think about this as like your flush runs. On the fourth day, we're coming back up into that green zone. On the fifth day, we're going to go back up into our red zone. Our sixth day, we're going to drop back down to our low training again in that green zone. And our seventh day, we're going to be off. So this is just an example of how you might schedule practices for your week. They do not have to consume your entire practice. These, this red zone here, it might be 8 minutes worth of your entire practice. So if you have questions about RPE, intensity, work to rest ratios, or how to set up a training schedule, definitely comment below. If you're interested, maybe I can make a 4-week program for you as a template that you can use for your team. Thanks for checking it out. Again, my name is Hollan Oliver of Coastline Physical Therapy and Athlete RX. Thank you.